When the demolition resettlement plan was announced, Fairview Village celebrated with joy. Every family hoped demolition would change their fate. Only mine was harassed by the demolition team head, Daniel Parker. My wife went to demand an answer, but was publicly humiliated. I held back my fury, but saw a golden chance, and vowed silently, no matter how you push me down, I'll rise through sheer skill, and make those who wronged us pay dearly. The day the demolition resettlement plan was made official, all of Fairview Village buzzed. The village loudspeaker announced the news. Families rushed to the bulletin board. My wife and I stood on the fringe, like we didn't belong. The old land I inherited was ruled by Daniel Parker to be outside policy, so we got only about $279. No other benefits. My wife's voice trembled, uncontrollably.
We paid the road repair fund, in full, to the letter. Not a penny less. Why is he targeting us?
I stayed silent, just stared at Daniel Parker, my fingers quietly pressed the pause button on the voice recorder in my pocket. I had just recorded him making his threats about the extra road repair fund. He's the demolition team leader and in charge of the resettlement area. Earlier this year, he came to me privately, demanding excess funds. I refused him on the spot and only paid the village standard. Daniel Parker slowly lit a cigarette. The smoke drifted in our faces.
Now you're worried? What took you so long? In this village, I'm in charge. Don't listen. You get nothing.
His younger brother, David Parker, shoved his latest smartphone right at me, sneering arrogantly.
Take your money and get lost. Dreaming of a better life? Keep dreaming.
When my wife heard that, her already poor health got even weaker. She nearly fainted. I quickly steadied her, telling her to take deep breaths and calm down. Seeing her nearly faint, Daniel also got scared, fearing a fatal outcome. He turned and left with his brother. The gathered villagers scattered too. I took my wife back home. Staring at the plan in hand, an idea formed. An idea had taken root. I had planned to use the recording to report Daniel Parker in town, but a detail on the plan made me change my mind. The only access road was marked under construction, due 15 days post-move-in. Large trucks couldn't enter. Small tricycles could barely pass. On the rough track, no bus service, no food delivery. Most residents were elderly, far from the market town, with no fresh market, no cold chain or home delivery. But I happened to have 5 years supply chain experience, top wholesale channels and trucks, even a developed online delivery network. This wasn't just business. It was the village's lifeline. He withheld my compensation, so I'll seize their food supply. Daniel Parker, you used your power, but I'll use public need to bring you down. You'll never recover. Back at our shack, my wife held back tears. I held her hand, my resolve firm.
Don't worry, what we've lost, we'll take back.
I made a decision my wife thought was crazy, to tear down our home, building a community fresh market on our own land. I've already rented a house with kitchen and bathroom in the market town, paid 3 months rent. We'll move there once this is demolished. When the market's done, I'll partition a living space upstairs. This land is under my control. Daniel can't just confiscate it, and the location is perfect, right at the entrance to the resettlement area where all villagers pass. Besides, it just handed over. Outside roads aren't connected. No buses yet. No safety inspection approval. Only villagers can enter with ID. Outside vehicles, takeout, and trucks are banned.
I'm with you. I'll support whatever you do. I worked at a supermarket for 3 years on cash and inventory. Bookkeeping, stock takes, and customer issues, I can handle it.
Early next morning, I called the construction team. An excavator rolled onto the site. After a few loud rumbles, the old house was demolished and leveled flat. In the dusty air, I guided workers marking lines, erecting the frame. Progress went as planned. Suddenly, Daniel Parker passed by. He saw me demolishing and building. He paused, startled, then stood by the road, hands on hips, and laughed out loud, loud enough for half the village to hear. He made sure everyone came to see my humiliation.
Look, everyone! Has this guy lost his mind, tearing his own house down? Where will you live?
He slapped his thigh, telling the village officials beside him, doubled over laughing, scoffing at me.
No payout, no shop, and yet you dare tear it down? You're digging your own grave. Demolition's driven you mad.
Other villagers passing by joined in the jeering, whispering and snickering. My wife went pale with rage, ready to confront them, but I gently held her back, not lifting my head. I kept directing the work, calm yet firm, a tone that brooked no argument.
Ignore them. We just need to succeed. That will shut them up.
Only one thought drove me. Speed things up. On move-in day, everyone will see who the real winner is. With the old house gone, I paved the ground, raised the frame, built the shelves, wired the place. When asked, I'd say it's just for storage. No sign, no fuss, no announcement. We worked quietly each day. Villagers wondered why I needed such a big setup, just to store things. Most thought I was just riffing. Daniel Parker would sometimes pass by, seeing me tinkering on the empty lot. He didn't even bother to ask, still thought none of it. Never dreamed I'd start a fresh produce brand with deliveries or a community fresh market. To him, I was a failure, crushed under his boot, powerless, only able to vent by tearing my house down. He kept assigning spots, putting his own people in, focused on saving the best places, like the convenience store or the barbershop space, for his relatives. He never once thought about the residents' daily needs. He truly believed
I was good for nothing. My wife wiping shelves.
Asked me quietly. Should we worry about Daniel? Could he block our approval? The more he scoffs, the safer we are. Yesterday I sent our application straight to the town service center. The anonymous tip-off went too.
they're already on him for mishandling spots. This approval will skip him. My old house plot, right at the sole entrance to the resettlement area. It's the only spot for direct unloading, stocking, delivering, everything in one go. A week later, the site was ready. I still keep it unmarked. No fanfare. Daniel Parker sees it. He just scoffs. Walks away. He still doesn't know. This land he scoffs at will become Fairview Village's stranglehold. The market is finished. Only 20 days before the resettlement handover. This gap period is a tense silence. My wife and I enter the crucial prep phase to link with local suppliers. I contact my partners of 5 years, 3 vegetable supply bases, and 2 meat slaughterhouses, sign contingency supply deals, ensuring a daily supply of at least 5 tons of fresh produce. I test the cold chain equipment, set up the mobile ordering app, and pre-train 5 fellow villagers with delivery experience. Hire 10 unemployed youths for a 1-week training camp on sorting and delivery to ensure nothing goes wrong. I draft a special rule. Seniors get priority delivery, all done quietly. We don't breathe a word. Villagers only know I'm busy at the site daily, but not what I'm doing. Daniel Parker knows nothing. Still sees me as a failed joke, a man fruitlessly toiling. He sometimes brings people by, throws a casual jab my way.
Still at it? Give it a rest. Don't work yourself to the bone. Let's see how long you last. You'll pack up and leave soon enough.
He's busy dividing spoils, setting the stage, still pushing the construction team to finish the road. They say town funds haven't arrived. Only half the road can be paved for now. My wife watched me work late each night, torn but determined.
No matter what others say, I'm with you. Finished organizing all the shelves today. Inventory system's ready too. Soft opening tomorrow?
I looked at her firmly.
When the wind blows, we'll soar. And Daniel Parker won't see it coming.
We waited for the official key handover. They'll see. All this I've done, what it truly means for them. Dawn, day 20. A convoy blared its horns urgently, shattering Fairview Village's calm. Vehicles marked resettlement office stopped right at my market's entrance. Staff got out, grabbed a loudspeaker, announced to the whole village.
Fairview resettlement area keys handed out today. Move in orderly. Area amenities not yet complete. Community fresh market services will be prioritized at registered business spaces.
The crowd erupted. Households grabbed their keys, flooding toward the new neighborhood. But at the street corner, everyone's smiles froze. The only main road in and out was paved halfway, near the village entrance. The rest was all deep pits and mud, thick and soggy, full of bumps. Large trucks couldn't get in. Small tricycles barely made it, but jolted badly. E-bikes slipped easily. Even pedestrians had to tiptoe, moving with utmost care. People started asking, with such a rough road, how do we buy groceries? Daniel Parker stood in the crowd, looking smug just moments ago. Now his face fell. Only at this moment did he realize a fatal problem he'd completely overlooked. Large produce trucks can't get in. No fresh goods from outside. Once the villagers move in, they can't even eat. Panicking, he pulled out his phone, frantically calling suppliers. He sought small trucks, but on hearing only half the road in Fairview Village was good, and big trucks couldn't enter, they all refused outright. The more Daniel called, the more his heart sank. Hanging up? He stares at me, stunned. Desperate. He confronts me.
I never received your market application. Your store won't open. I'll have you investigated.
Hearing this, I go inside and bring out the town service center's approved notice with their seal. I place it before him. Daniel clutches his chest, eyes wide in disbelief. He holds the approval power, the space allocation rights, yet they're worthless here. Because of Daniel's outburst, everyone's gaze shifts to the same spot. At the resettlement area's sole entrance, a sign reads Fresh Market. Shelves are orderly, cold chain operational, stock is plentiful. My wife and I stand at the door, watching calmly the chaotic villagers and a pale-faced Daniel. He whirls to glare at me, his eyes widening further, utterly shocked.
You bleep. Set a dead trap for me.
Only now does he fully understand. Tearing down my house wasn't rage. My construction wasn't pointless. Choosing the entrance wasn't chance. It wasn't coincidence. What I hid for a month strangled the village's food supply. Community fresh market. Hearing Daniel Parker's words, I just gave him a slight smile. He left with the villagers. I watched them walk away, feeling nothing but certainty. I was sure they'd give in. On the first official moving-in day, the whole village was in chaos. Complaints, accusations, anxiety flooded the area. Daniel Parker was frantic. If he tried bringing in goods on foot, with thousands to feed, by himself, with one bike, it was utterly hopeless. He tried everything, but couldn't even supply the basics. The resettlement office phones were jammed. Many refused the houses, demanding amenities now. Staff had to announce,
We've arranged a compliant, fresh market site to meet your needs.
All eyes locked on me again. Daniel Parker stood stiffly aside, his face pale then flushed, trembling uncontrollably. He finally understood completely. This wasn't just some small shop. In this isolated place, where buying food was a struggle, the isolated resettlement area held everyone by the throat. He blocked my family's compensation, so I blocked the village's food supply. He used power to push me down. I used basic necessities to push him into a dead end. Day one, hard to endure. The villagers were too proud to ask. They'd rather eat instant noodles at home than step into my market. Daniel Parker was also stubborn. He swore that even if the whole village starved, he'd never bow to me. He tried to use utility hookup rights to block me, but the town had already notified us. No one may cut off essential utilities for community projects. Violators will be dealt with severely. He then tried to ban my delivery staff from entering, but they're all villagers with access passes. He couldn't stop them. The closed-off area was eerily quiet, filled only with stifled resentment. They could endure hunger, but not the resettlement office's hard rules. Early the next day, their task force returned. A loudspeaker announced.
Current amenities are inadequate. Basic needs aren't met. Fairview Village Resettlement Area's rating is suspended. All subsidies are paused. But please rest assured, we're doing our best to coordinate.
Those words, like a massive rock, came crashing down on everyone's last nerve. No matter how big the payout, it'll run out. But those subsidies are lifelong security, real benefits in hand. Mrs. Parker cracked first, the one who'd mocked me hardest, alongside Daniel. Clutching her phone, she shuffled to the market gate. Gritting her teeth, she forced an awkward smile.
Nephew, my words before were harsh.
Her opening move let the floodgates loose. Apologies, please. Nervous laughter rose and fell. The past cold stares, scoffs, pointing fingers, all turned to groveling and flattery. Daniel stood crowded at the fringe, unable to move forward or step back. Caught in my chokehold, he could barely breathe. I looked at the sea of faces, my voice calm but firm.
Want delivery? Fine. From today, it's on my terms.
I had my wife bring out the prepared delivery service agreement. Every clause was read aloud. No threats, no tricks. All were reasonable codified requests. Yet under current circumstances, we had no choice but to comply. The villagers looked at me, and I looked at them. None dared say no, except for me. They had no path left but mine. In half a day, 1,000 households had all signed on. The quiet market had now buzzed alive. Sorting, packing, scanning, loading. Delivery riders weaved through homes. Order alerts chimed. My wife stood by me, watching it unfold. Tears finally streamed down her face. I gently wiped them and asked, was it worth it? She firmly nodded, too choked to speak. Outside the crowd, Daniel Parker was rooted like a statue, watching everything, and my success, his power was gone. His face went pale. He finally saw, when he slighted us and blocked our claim, his fate was sealed. Those who bully with power never understand. I gave him one cool glance, silent. Some lessons don't need words. Life will teach him. His misery and regret are just starting. Sorting, packing, delivery, running like clockwork, trucks in and out. Right to every door. Daily orders, snowballing bigger. Fresh, cheap veggies, grinning from ear to ear. They finally see I'm not a fool, but a man with vision. Daniel Parker watches, filled with bitterness. He regrets kicking my family out, crossing me, missing this chance, losing his big break. His brother David Parker's cowed, slinking away at my sight. My wife walks tall now, respected by all. She checks accounts, manages stock, handles complaints. She keeps the market's inner working smooth. I see all this, feel little joy. This is just step one. My goal isn't just the village, but the whole district. Once stable here, I'll expand the scale. Securing exclusive delivery agreements. In 3 nearby resettlement areas, we expanded our cold storage, standardized our supply sources, maintained consistent quality, and unified our deliveries. This established a regional monopoly. My fresh produce brand quickly dominated the entire demolition zone. Orders kept pouring in. Profits hit new records daily. The villagers' quality of life improved, many times over since the compensation payouts. They became even more grateful, hailing me as the village's benefactor. Some even proposed erecting a statue in my honor. Others nominated me for village representative. I declined them all. I just wanted to focus on my business. Daniel Parker was completely sidelined. Nobody listened to him in the village anymore. The villagers even petitioned together, demanding his removal from his post. The town completed its investigation and gave him a disciplinary warning. He was stripped of his roles as demolition team leader and as resettlement area manager. He hid at home every day, afraid to show his face outside. His former arrogance had completely vanished. I didn't finish him off. I just made him face the consequences of his actions. You should always leave room for forgiveness, for future encounters. But I also won't forget how he treated my family back then. My wife advised me to let it go, to be merciful when I could. I nodded in agreement, but in my heart I have limits. I can choose not to retaliate, but I will never forgive. My business expanded rapidly, soon reaching millions in profit. And this was just the beginning. With the money I earned, I upgraded the cold chain equipment, upgraded to semi-automatic sorting equipment. Efficiency greatly increased. I introduced a fully automatic sorting line. Efficiency increased several times. Cost dropped significantly. Profits soared again. I also launched live stream selling, covering all surrounding communities. In just a few months, my fresh produce delivery covered the whole city district. Daily shipments from the distribution hub reached tens of tons. Net profit broke tens of millions. I became the renowned fresh produce boss, envied by everyone. Because of me, the village was completely freed from inconvenience. Quality of life greatly improved. With my coordination, the town government sped up road construction. 2 weeks later, all main roads were paved and opened. Bus service also started. The resettlement area's comprehensive rating was restored. Various subsidies were finally dispersed normally. Concrete roads reached every doorstep. Streetlights shone all night. Every household lived comfortably and worked happily. Villagers were deeply grateful to me, praising me everywhere I went. The smile on my wife's face never faded. Relatives who once scorned our family came flocking to our door seeking favor. I received them politely, but kept my distance. Polite but distant. Even Daniel Parker finally laid aside all pride and came personally to apologize. Head bowed low, his voice humble. He begged forgiveness for his past wrongs. He even confessed that he'd taken villagers' excess funds from the road repair fund, about $16,744 total. He still had about $6,977, which he vowed to return. For the remaining about $9,768, he repaid from his wages over time. As I looked at his aged face, I felt nothing inside. Some wounds a simple apology can't heal. I just said softly, It's all in the past. But I knew deep down, some things can never go back. After forgiving Daniel Parker, he let go of his grudges and fully supported my work. Using his connections, he helped coordinate matters for me. I, in turn, let bygones be bygones and gave him a light warehouse supervisor job, giving him a steady income to live out his days. Villagers saw my magnanimity and respected me even more. My reputation reached its peak. I didn't rest on my laurels. I kept expanding across the city, partnering with major e-commerce platforms, building a citywide refrigerated logistics network. The daily profits flowing in astounded even me. The compensation I lost back then is nothing now compared to current profits. I proved with action that being bullied isn't really scary. Lacking ability is. If you have vision, skill, and persistence, all you lost can be regained manyfold. My wife enjoys a stable, happy life now, no longer worrying about money. She grows vegetables, chats, and helps at the market sometimes. She handles the accounts, living a leisurely life. Seeing her so happy fills me with satisfaction. All the hardship and resentment, worth it. The past ridicule and pressure all became my drive forward. I now know my life's destiny has been completely rewritten, and my legend is still being written. As we expanded, I started hiring locals for jobs, prioritizing our village folks first. Dozens got jobs right at home, with stable income, so they needn't migrate for work. Most of our unemployed villagers now work at their doorstep. Unemployment dropped sharply. Every household enjoys steady income. They're more grateful to me now, seeing me as the one who leads them all to prosperity. Not only that, I also set up an aid fund, assisted needy families in the village, subsidized the elderly and children, schooling, medical care, daily needs. I did all I could to help. The position of village chief was up for re-election. The whole village voted unanimously for me. I couldn't refuse. I took on the role. I served the village wholeheartedly. My first act upon taking office was to establish the Village Oversight Committee. All village public procurement projects are supervised by the committee. I have no direct involvement. Any village decisions related to the fresh market, I recuse myself from to avoid any conflict of interest. Daniel Parker now assists with village affairs for me. His attitude is respectful now. All his former arrogance is gone. He smacked his head in regret, saying,
I was blind back then to cross someone as capable as you.
I just smiled. I don't dwell on it. Past grudges faded away with my success. Now I just want the whole village to prosper together. My fresh produce business expands every day. From community delivery to staff cafeterias, onto direct supply for businesses, channels growing wider, wealth accumulating more. But I know this isn't the end. It's a new beginning. But new challenges came too. Once the village delivery network stabilized, my fresh produce distribution hub surpassed 3,000 daily orders. Refrigerated trucks shuttle back and forth. The sorting area stays lit from dawn till dusk. Profits visibly skyrocket. My wife can finally hold her head high. Walking around the village, villagers who once mocked me now approach to greet me. Their attitude is respectful. Ever since Daniel Parker started working as warehouse supervisor here, he's been diligent in every task, never slacking off. He knows the wrong he did to my family. Not only does he maintain the warehouse in perfect order, he also helps coordinate community relations. If anyone raises delivery concerns, he's quick to explain, using his own lessons to urge compliance. He's apologized privately many times.
I was a fool back then. I shouldn't have succumbed to greed, using my position to take your compensation. You giving me this steady job is a tremendous kindness.
I maintain a distance from him, not too close but not difficult either. The offense is in the past. He has paid his due. Yet this peace is shattered by David Parker's malice. David squanders his compensation, living lavishly. He buys designer clothes, frequenting entertainment venues, and living it up with his crooked friends. He got into petty gambling. In less than half a year, he managed to blow it all. Meanwhile, Daniel Parker's own settlement money mostly went to his son as a down payment on a city apartment. He had little left for himself. Once his money was gone, with no real skills to speak of, unwilling to endure hardship or take on a proper job, he loafed around the village all day. Watching my business thrive, seeing his own good brother working diligently under me, he could hardly fathom that I, once trampled underfoot, was now the central figure in the village. Envy and resentment festered in him, spreading like poison ivy. But he didn't dare confront me directly, nor disobey Daniel Parker's warnings. Instead, he channeled all his bitterness toward my fresh produce business. He began showing up daily, right on time. At the entrance to my distribution hub, he never came alone, but brought 3 or 4 young men just like him, idle and doing nothing. They'd stand there, cigarettes dangling, hands on their hips, blocking the main entrance to the hub, harassing customers who came to shop. A villager ordering things muttered rumors. He spoke loudly on purpose, so all around could hear.
He claimed the veggies had excess pesticides, were old stock with new labels. The meat was spoiled frozen stuff, years old spoiled frozen meat. He said all profits were dirty money, relying on monopoly to bully folks.
A decent villager called him out.
Stop spreading lies. We've been eating this food with no issues. It's cheaper than town supermarkets and fresher.
He glared on the spot, shoved that villager. His arrogance was extreme.
In Fairview Village, if I say something's bad, it's bad. Anyone who speaks up for him is against me.
Delivery drivers came through. He stuck his foot out to block, used his body to stop the truck, trapping it. A young delivery guy couldn't help arguing. He raised his hand to hit, cursing.
A guy kicked off the demolition list has no right to do business here. This place is still under the Parker family's control. That hub will be smashed by me.
The staff were tormented by his harassment. They were on edge at work. Sorting, packing, and loading efficiency all suffered. My wife heard David Parker was causing trouble daily outside. She was constantly anxious. I saw her crying once. She softly urged me
not to confront David Parker head on. He's young and impulsive, capable of anything rash.
I reassured my wife. But deep down I knew, for a bully like David, who picks on the weak, giving in only lets him act even more outrageously. I didn't argue with him. I just turned on all the cameras. Complete coverage from every angle recorded. Each of his provocations, every harsh word, and every hostile gesture. I secured all the evidence. David saw my ongoing silence and thought I was truly scared. He became even more aggressive. His arrogance knew no bounds. A week later, he started directly disrupting my core delivery operations. That morning, a refrigerated truck loaded with nutritious meals for seniors in the resettlement area was ready to depart. David suddenly rushed over with his men, using 2 electric scooters, parked right across the front of the truck. Then he lay down on the ground, putting on a tantrum.
If you want to get past, just drive right over me.
On board that vehicle were breakfasts and supplies for dozens of elderly, isolated, or mobility-limited folks in the resettlement area. Any delay in delivery means the seniors go hungry, even hurts the resettlement office's rating. The driver was frantic, pleading with him, reasoning with him, but he just rolled his eyes and cursed.
You people making dirty money deserve what you get.
The welfare of the whole village mattered less than his own resentment. The more I climbed through this community business, the harder he tried to pull me down. Villagers quickly gathered around, angered but afraid to speak. Everyone knew how unreasonable and brutish David Parker was, that crossing him meant endless trouble and revenge. I got the driver's call, rushed to the scene, and saw David Parker lying there throwing his fit. My gaze was ice cold. I wasted no words on him. I pulled out my phone and dialed the police station.
Hello, someone's maliciously blocking a community delivery, provoking trouble, disrupting the peace at the resettlement area. Officers, please come immediately.
David Parker heard me call the police. Not only did he show no fear, he lurched up from the ground. He pointed at me and cursed. He said he knew people high up, and calling the police wouldn't help. I'd be the one to pay. I watched him calmly, not buying his lies for a second. He was furious, and raised a hand to hit me. Luckily, one of his nearby crooked friends stopped him in time, so he didn't actually strike me. Soon, a police car drove into the village. After the police arrived, they first reviewed the surveillance footage. They heard statements from villagers and our staff. The facts were clear. The evidence was solid. They issued an official warning to David Parker and ordered him to leave the scene immediately. He was forbidden from further disruption, or else compulsory measures would be taken. In front of the police, David's temper cooled a bit, but as soon as they drove off, he came right up to me. In a voice only I could hear, he delivered a threat.
This isn't over. I've got plenty of underhanded tricks, dirty moves. I'll make you kneel and beg. You'll leave Fairview Village crawling away.
I gave him a cold look, no response. But I knew in my heart, this kind of villain who did what he said would keep causing trouble. Sure enough, that same late night, my distribution hub suffered a major blow to the business. My fresh produce business relied entirely on 4 large refrigerators to keep everything fresh. 2 of their external compressors were in the backyard corner. They were key to the cold chain system. Once damaged, the food inside would spoil within hours. At 3 a.m., in the dead of night, the whole village was asleep. David Parker brought his gang and snuck into the backyard. Armed with iron rods, wrenches, and bricks, they smashed the 2 compressors. On the surveillance footage, his face twisted with rage, completely unhinged. He cursed me wildly while he smashed. He cursed me for ruining his life, for stealing his thunder, for climbing up by stepping on his family. He wanted to smash my rice bowl, so I could never do business again. In just 10 minutes, the 2 compressor housings were dented and deformed, copper pipes broken, wiring torn out, temperature controls wrecked, beyond fixing. When staff came in at dawn and opened the fridge cases, a putrid, rancid smell greeted them. Fresh meat worth over $9,000, seafood, imported produce, dairy and eggs, all spoiled. They had all gone bad. Murky water and filth soaked the floor. A total disaster. Employees shook with rage. At the sight, many were in tears. My wife broke down crying.
Such a sin. All of it ruined. This is outrageous.
My wife felt faint. She nearly passed out again. I steadied her and gave her medication. Bottling up my fury, I first secured the area to preserve the evidence, then called the police again. Officers rushed over. They found at the back wall distinct climbing footprints, and near the equipment, discarded crowbars and bricks. Footage from the back camera showed David Parker leading, clearly visible. His face, his actions, hateful cries, every last detail, all captured clearly. The evidence was ironclad. The police officers didn't hesitate. They drove to David Parker's home to arrest him immediately. David was still fast asleep in bed. After being roused by the police, he first tried to deny and lie, saying it wasn't him, that someone was framing him. But when the surveillance footage was shown to him, his face instantly turned pale. He was speechless, with no more excuses. As he was taken to the police car, he shouted at the watching villagers, screaming,
You did this on purpose. You set me up. You'll get yours.
For intentionally destroying a significant amount of public and private property, David was given a 7-day administrative detention and a fine of about $419. He also had to fully compensate for the equipment repairs and the spoiled food loss, totaling about $11,721. News spread throughout the village. Villagers all clapped and cheered, saying he brought this on himself. Evil met its retribution. The demolition team leader, Daniel Parker, upon hearing the news, broke down in tears. He came to me, bowing and apologizing incessantly.
I failed to raise my brother right. I caused you huge losses. I'll use my monthly wages, paying off his debt.
I told him this was David's fault, not his. He didn't have to take all the blame. After David was released, he wasn't remorseful at all, just more resentful. He got worse. He couldn't pay the fine. So Daniel sold our grain, farm tools, appliances, even rented part of our subsistence field to pay me. Seeing Daniel beg, scrape money together, showed no remorse. He yelled at Daniel.
Brother, are you crazy? Why beg him? This is all his fault. We're in this mess. I'll get revenge. He'll pay. He'll pay the price.
After that, David gave up open fights, turned to secret sabotage. Since his open attacks and smashing gear failed, then set their sights on my online ordering system. My mobile ordering app was the village's main ordering channel. With one tap from home, it was my operational core. David Parker somehow figured out a trick. He hired a group of paid online trolls. Using virtual phone numbers and different IP addresses, they bypassed my basic anti-malicious order system. On my app, they placed bulk orders maliciously, rejected them upon delivery, blacklisted us. In one day, they created over 200 invalid orders. All these fake orders just crippled my delivery system. Couriers wasted trips. Real orders piled up. They couldn't be delivered. By noon, many villagers hadn't received their food. Our complaint lines were swamped. Our reputation took a huge hit. Techs worked around the clock, adding face verification and order frequency limits. Service resumed by dawn. This sabotage cost me over $2,000. I lost some casual customers too. I traced the phone numbers, tracked the IP addresses. I pinpointed all the malicious acts back to David Parker and his crew.
David Parker, I knew it was you. This time, there'll be no mercy.
I had all the evidence, the system logs, surveillance footage was compiled and resubmitted to the police station. The officer informed David Parker his repeated acts were provoking trouble, a serious offense. One more, and he'd face severe punishment. No tolerance. After this scolding, David laid low for 3 days. But secretly, he plotted a scheme vile enough to ruin me and endanger the village. He knew full well I delivered meals daily to the village school, a priority public welfare project, the bedrock of my reputation. A problem here would destroy my business and land me in legal trouble. He recklessly decided to target the supplies, to ruin my business for good, even risk others' health. Late that night, with a black backpack, he slipped past the watch, sneaked into the sorting area, ready to sabotage the stored ingredients. Luckily, I had staff on duty round the clock. Hearing noise, the night guard rushed over to check, caught him red-handed. Restrained, David Parker kept struggling desperately, his face contorted in fury, a wild look in his eyes.
I'll ruin your business. I'll drag your name through the mud. I'm not afraid of detention again. Just you wait. When I get out, I won't let you off the hook. I won't stop until you're driven out of Fairview Village.
The staff on duty didn't engage him. They notified me and the police immediately. When the police officers arrived, they searched his backpack on the spot. They secured all evidence of his infiltration and intent to sabotage. The regulatory department also arrived quickly. They ran a full test on all the ingredients. It confirmed no contamination occurred. Officials also made it clear that had he succeeded, it would have caused a major food safety incident, endangering hundreds of children's health. The act was egregious, constituting a criminal offense. It was no longer a simple public order issue. News spread swiftly, outraging the entire village. Finally, the villagers saw him clearly. It wasn't a momentary lapse for David Parker. It was pure malice, a premeditated act of revenge. To get back at me, he was willing to gamble with the health of everyone, even the elderly and children. A man like that is beyond redemption. Even the few who once pitied him, those who believed he was just a young hothead, were completely disillusioned. They all condemned him for being vile. He got his due. Daniel Parker learned his brother had done this terrible thing. He slumped to the ground. Tears streamed down his face. He went door to door to apologize to the school, and to me.
I'm sorry, everyone. I failed to discipline him. The Parker family will take full responsibility.
But the law treats all equally. David Parker's actions crossed all lines. No one could shield him. No one could save him. After trial, he was convicted of provoking trouble, property damage, and endangering public safety. On multiple charges, he was sentenced to 7 months in prison with a hefty fine. He faced full civil liability, totaling about $22,000. On verdict day, I was there. In court, David Parker had lost his swagger. His bully act was gone. Hair disheveled, eyes dull. In prison clothes, head down, trembling. All arrogance was gone. Hearing his 7-month prison sentence handed down, his legs buckled. He collapsed to the floor, tears and snot streaming down his face, a mask of fear and regret. But this regret came far too late. From the initial taunts and provocation, to blocking deliveries, smashing equipment, sabotaging orders, even trying to poison supplies, every arrogant act, every malicious deed, every line he crossed was a step toward prison. He turned himself from a young man with a resettlement payout into a convicted felon. The $22,325 in fines and compensation broke the Parker family. Daniel Parker sold every possession, everything they could, even mortgaged part of their home, desperately borrowed from family and friends to barely clear the debt. The once proud Parker family was left destitute overnight, burdened with debt, stripped of all glory. After David Parker went to prison, the family fell apart. Daniel Parker's health worsened, yet he worked diligently in the warehouse, slowly paying off debts with his meager wages. When he went out and saw villagers, he kept his head hung low, too ashamed to look them in the eye. All his former swagger was gone. Those who once flattered the Parker family, sucking up to them, now all avoided him, terrified of getting entangled in their debts. As for me, after David Parker faced the law, all obstacles were cleared. I upgraded our cold chain equipment, installed cameras for complete coverage from every angle, and added a night security system. Our operation became safer and more robust. My business wasn't crushed by the repeated sabotage. Instead, thanks to fair enforcement and the villagers' support, it thrived more than ever. 3 nearby resettlement areas approached me, signing exclusive delivery agreements. Schools in the city, hospitals, and government offices all entrusted their food supply to me. Seeing David Parker's fate And then my success, the villagers respected me even more. They often said, David Parker got what he deserved. His overbearing arrogance and malicious intent could only lead to his own ruin, while I, relying on vision, integrity, and skill, was the true success. I didn't drive him into a corner. I never meant to humiliate the Parkers. When Daniel Parker was desperate, I gave him the warehouse job, a steady income so he could repay his debts and live out his years in peace. I won't pursue the past, but I'll never forget the pain they caused. Letting him live is my bottom line, not my weakness. 7 months in prison was a long, heavy torment. It's finally over. David Parker's sentence served is free. Morning mist lingers, carrying late autumn's chill, clinging to the prison gates. As the cold iron doors swing open, David Parker stumbles out. His steps are weak, hesitant. David Parker stumbles out. Sunlight breaks through the mist. He instinctively squints. He's transformed. Compared to 7 months ago, he's unrecognizable. His face is sallow, like old parchment, devoid of color. His cheeks are sunken. He's so gaunt, a breeze could topple him. Wearing a faded shirt, his old coat didn't fit and hung loose on his frame, making him look frail. All his old ferocity was gone from his eyes, replaced by deep-seated fear. His gaze was shifty, unable to look ahead. He walked with head low, shoulders slightly hunched, his hands curled tight against his chest, like a startled rabbit. Not a trace remained of the bully who once cursed at everyone. He trudged along, the familiar yet unfamiliar path back to the village. Mud clung heavily to his soles, each step forward, feeling like a burden, as if treading upon his own past misdeeds. Arriving at his old home, he stopped. His heart lurched. The sight chilled him to the bone. The once grand house had a new owner. A foreclosure seal was on the door. Weeds overtook the yard, and the windows and doors were dilapidated. Pushing the door open, he found it stripped bare. The empty rooms held no proper furniture, only dust-covered floors and scattered broken junk. He wandered aimlessly around the village. He happened to walk near my fresh produce distribution hub. From a distance, he saw his older brother, the brother who once shielded him from everything. His ever-protective older brother, now dressed in simple work clothes, in the hub's yard, working tirelessly, bending to move goods, his back slightly stooped. His hair had gained much gray. Every move seemed a strain. Then, he saw me. I stood at the hub's entrance, in a neat suit. Several villagers around me, all with respectful smiles. In my every gesture, I exuded ease and confidence. I was clearly thriving, supported by the whole village. That respected image of me, and his own current wretched state, formed a glaring contrast. At that moment, the regret and pain in his heart surged over him like a tide, overwhelming him instantly. His chest felt blocked by a huge stone. He couldn't breathe. The sting from that gap was more painful than any torment in prison. He looked for work in town, but bosses who heard he was the one who tried poisoning school food all turned him down. He went to his old, crooked friends for money, but got beaten out. He starved for 3 days, not one hot meal. He dared not go home, face the empty house. He just hid all day, in the village's derelict brick house, barely hanging on. The house was old and crumbling, its walls were peeling. Light leaked through the roof. It leaked everywhere when it rained, piled with trash and junk inside. He curled up in there, never sure of his next meal. Some days all he had was a stale bun and sips of cold water. He was at rock bottom. Sometimes a villager passed by. Seeing him like that, none showed any pity. They'd all stop, pointing and whispering, talking in hushed voices, full of scorn and mockery, saying he brought it on himself. Evil gets its due. He deserved where he was. Those who once mooched with him, his shady mates, now saw his desperate state. Nobody gave him the time. If they crossed his path, they'd quickly take another. Like he carried the plague, a total outcast, completely alone. No one would come near. Days of such disgrace, starving, isolated, facing his wrongs. He found the nerve and dragged himself, step by step, to the door of my fresh produce hub. Sun was bright. The hub was busy. Staff moved crates, sorted goods, a lively hive. He stood outside, feeling lost. His body trembled, eyes full of fear and shame. He drew a breath, knelt on cold cement. His knees hit ground, a jarring smack. Toward where I stood, he bowed repeatedly. His head struck concrete, a heavy thud.
I'm sorry. I did wrong. Blinded by greed.
His voice was hoarse, like sandpaper, choked with sobs. He gave me stammered apologies for all his past wrongs, bowing in repentance, offering no excuse. He knelt and bowed his head, while confessing he'd been blinded back then. Narrow-minded, vicious and selfish, unable to see what's right, always wanting to bully. Ending up like this today was all his fault, just what he deserved. He blames no one else. He humbly begged for my forgiveness, to forget the past, to give him the lowest job. His voice trembling, I truly know I was wrong. All I want now is to earn my living, to ease my brother's burden, repay all my debts, and start anew, to make up for my sins. I stood before him, back straight and tall, looking down at the man who once ruled the village, with arrogance, now utterly broken. His clothes soiled with mud, wrinkled and clinging. A stark contrast to when he was smug and arrogant. My gaze was calm. I felt no pity at all, only a clear serenity, after vengeance. The weight of many years finally vanished.
I'm sorry. Can you forgive me?
I didn't answer his pleas. I stood calmly, watching his earnest remorse. These 3 minutes were his basic penance for his old wrongs, payment for when he blocked my door, abused my wife, mocked my failures, payment for spreading lies that ruined my new business, costing me everything. It crushed the last trace of his arrogance. Head bowed, voice choked. He kept saying sorry. No excuses. Villagers gathered, drawn by the news. They stood watching, not speaking, not intervening, not offering a shred of pity. All knew this was David's due. His years of bullying, picking on the weak, led to this inevitable price. No one would plead for someone this wicked. 5 minutes later, I raised my hand and told him if he wanted a job to survive, fine. But he had to start with the dirtiest, toughest, most grueling jobs. Sorting vegetables, carrying goods, cleaning trash, never slacking off, with the lowest pay, no bonuses, no subsidies, but the strictest rules. 1 minute late, one mistake made, and he'd be fired on the spot, with no recourse. From that day on, dawn hadn't even broken when David Parker's figure appeared at the hub, sweeping floors, cleaning trash, washing toilets, taking on every menial, grueling chore. Workers would sometimes mention his past misdeeds, some even deliberately giving him the heaviest tasks, which he didn't dare dispute. He'd just lower his head and work faster, not even daring to breathe deeply. All of this was his own doing. No one felt sorry for him, and no one helped him. Sometimes I'd stand by the office window, watching David Parker toiling humbly in the yard, looking utterly wretched. I felt no sense of triumph, only the calm of closure. A huge rock that weighed on my heart for years was finally lifted. Those humiliating memories began replaying in my mind, like scenes from a movie. Years ago, my family was unreasonably cut from the demolition list. We only got $279 in compensation. Our pillar collapsed in an instant. We got not a single cent. My wife trembled with anger. She sighed all day long. When the villagers heard the news, they mocked us coldly. Some said we were unlucky. Some said we'd offended someone. Others secretly laughed, saying we deserved to be poor. Such worldly coldness pierced my heart deeply. What I can never forget most is David Parker holding the latest phone, lifting my chin and saying, "I'd be a poor wretch forever, deserving my poverty." Such arrogance and malice was like a needle piercing deep into my heart, never to be removed. But I didn't let this crush me. I didn't choose violent revenge, nor did I take crooked paths. I knew that only by becoming strong could I reclaim all that was mine and make those who hurt us face the music. I spotted a chance in fresh produce. Through meticulous planning and relentless drive, I built up my own produce empire. Started from a single stall, now it's this big. I turned a rubble site into a produce distribution hub. It revived unused land. I used the villagers' mockery as driving force. David Parker's malice became stepping stones. Over the years, I worked tirelessly, with integrity, and made a fortune. Went from a village joke to its most respected. Wherever I go, they greet me warmly. Daniel Parker once made mistakes, but he made amends, apologized and paid up, then joined my business, worked hard, and lived out his days in peace and comfort. But David Parker stayed stubborn, still malicious and arrogant. Besides bullying, he secretly ran, breaking the law. Jailed in the end, he left prison deep in debt and despised. He became a public enemy. His glory days were gone. I always believe karma is real. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. Those who do great evil and won't repent will fall by their own deeds. Today, I stick to my roots. I operate with honesty and integrity. Every product is made with care. I give back to the village, getting everyone in the business, leading folks to prosperity. The law upheld fairness, guarding my business. Officials' support gave me strength. My wife's trust, her presence, my safe harbor. The villagers' backing is my solid shield. Sunset glow spreads gold across every corner of the distribution base, and on my calm face, the tale rising from rubble is just starting. Ahead, endless possibilities.